तो सदा महफूज हुए हैं दाता तेरी याद में। बिन मांगे सब कुछ है पाया, क्या मांगू फरियाद में। हम तो सदा महफूज हुए हैं दाता तेरी याद में। बिन मांगे सब कुछ है पाया, क्या मांगू फरियाद में। समझता दिल को हमारे, करता मेरी हिफाजत है। तुझ पर ही तो हक है सारे, तू ही मेरी ताकत है। तू ही समझता दिल को हमारे, करता मेरी हिफाजत है। तुझ पर ही तो हक है सारे, तू ही मेरी ताकत है। तू ही सबसे पहले दिल में, बाकी सब है बाद में। हम तो सदा महफूज हुए हैं भगवन तेरी याद में। तू ही सबसे पहले दिल में, बाकी सब है बाद में। हम तो सदा महफूज हुए हैं भगवन तेरी याद में। गाता तू वो गजल है, तू ही भरता मुझ में बल है। तुझसे मुकम्मल मेरी सांसें, तू ही जीवन सबका तराशे। दिल जो गाता तू वो गजल है, तू ही भरता मुझ में बल है। तुझसे मुकम्मल मेरी सांसें, तू ही जीवन सबका तराशे। तुमने दी है हर एक खूबी मुझको आशीर्वाद में। हम तो सदा महफूज हुए हैं साहिब तेरी याद में। तुमने दी है हर एक खूबी मुझको आशीर्वाद में। हम तो सदा महफूज हुए हैं साहिब तेरी याद में। इस बदलते दौर में तू ही मेरे मन का सुकून है, दुनिया के इस शोर में। तुमने थामा हाथ है मेरा इस बदलते दौर में। तू ही मेरे मन का सुकून है, दुनिया के इस शोर में। पाए हैं तुमसे सभी खजाने मैंने जायदाद में। हम तो सदा महफूज हुए हैं ईश्वर तेरी याद में। पाए हैं तुमसे सभी खजाने मैंने जायदाद में। हम तो सदा महफूज हुए हैं ईश्वर तेरी याद यार अब तेरी याद में, दाता तेरी याद में।
Om Shanti, good morning. Is the sound okay?
Om Shanti, Sister Usha. Just try again so I can see if the sound is.
Okay, is the sound better now?
Yes, it's much better. Thank you.
Om Shanti, good morning. So I hope you're ready for Baba today. Baba definitely has a different flavor in which he's been speaking. So, you know, the last 2 weeks, Baba was really giving us that whole awareness of and really giving us an experience of the Holy Swan. And Baba really put all the different elements for us to be holy in our, you know, the Murli week before. Baba was saying our mind, our intellect, our heart, our connections and relationships. And then last week again, Baba was putting, in a sense, in context, what is it that it will help us to be so pure that we can really serve in the right way. And today, Baba, in a sense, is giving us another level of clarity because, you know, power is something that we know we require in anything we do. And the power that, when we think about it, is not even sometimes what we get done, but what we don't do to resist. You know, like, for example, if something is happened in a negative way, for me not to react, to hold on to. So there's also power to not say anything or to do anything. So Baba is actually saying to us that there's a few things that happens to us that causes this leakage. What do you think they are? What causes the leakages in our lives? So that the power is not constant. Waste thoughts. So we know that that's one of the things, waste thoughts, but there's something else Baba is also highlighting today. Because waste thought is something, you know, we know internally, but we create another level of waste, and Baba is talking about our words. So sometimes, you know, just the use of a lot of words. Baba is also saying that where we express ourselves like a little bit, even in a taunting way, joking way, Baba is like sort of like highlighting that anything that comes out of us can actually end up being something that can have repercussion, that can have waste. And then when Baba speaks to one of the groups, he's actually bringing up the whole element of silence. And so, you know, if you think about what has happened in the world, when people are in a laboratory or people are investigating something or doing research, most of the time people go in some kind of exclusion so that they don't have interference from outside. And it's an interesting thing that when we look at ourselves as well, there is within the soul the intrinsic quality of having wisdom. So everything that we're supposed to know is already inside of us. But if we don't spend time going inside and seeing what we have, then we will constantly be measuring what we have based on what other people have. And yet, if we exclusively just take time to go inside and research what is inside of me, what would be amazing is that whole truth, that undiluted, pure truth, will actually become something that can be a gift to the world. But if we take a little bit of myself and a little bit of somebody and we kind of mix it all up, and Baba says in the Murli today, he's speaking about like it becomes like a chutney, like a mixed thing. In a way, it's quite tasty, but the thing is that it doesn't have that essence. And so in a way, I feel today Baba is highlighting another level of purity that we require, of not mixing things up and keeping things very undiluted in a sense. And that kind of dilution happens when we can know the truth very clearly. And we know the basis of that truth is coming from ourselves. So I really feel that today Baba's Murli is helping us maybe put, you know how once the cleaning happens, then you actually put in the safety measures. And today Baba is giving us the safety measures that's going to help us on this unlimited journey of ours. So today Baba's Murli, which is of the 14th of January, 1990. And the title is The Two Main Reasons for a Lack of Intensity in Our Effort. And today, Bapdada, the first and eternal creator of the Brahmins, is seeing the Brahmin children who are direct, elevated, close creation. You are Brahmin souls who are Bapdada's loveliest creation, and you are moving forward by constantly keeping in your awareness the aim of being close and becoming equal. So today, Bapdada was especially seeing the first creation. He was seeing the speed and the method of both the fast effort makers and the effort makers. The Avyak Murli spoke on Monday. No? We had an Avyak Murli on Monday, right? Can you remember what Baba defined a fast effort maker as, or an intense effort maker? The one who is content with their efforts. So he was seeing the speed and the method of both the fast effort makers and the effort makers. He saw both types of Brahmin children, the ones who have a fast speed by using the elevated, easy method given by Bapdada, and those who are sometimes fast and sometimes not so fast. Everyone is receiving the same study, sustenance, and attainment from the one. So why is there a difference in the speed? Fast effort makers means those who are in the first division, and effort makers means to pass for the second division. Today, everyone's chart was especially checked. There are many reasons, but there are two main reasons. Everyone wants to go into the first division. No one wants to go into the second division. However, there is a difference between the aim and their qualification. Which are the two main reasons? Baba says, firstly, the power of thought, the most elevated power, is not constantly used accurately for the self or for service at the appropriate time or for the task. So the first power of thought, the most elevated power, is not constantly used accurately for the self or for service at the appropriate time for the task. The second reason is the lack of using the power of speech, words accurately and powerfully. The reason for these two weaknesses is that instead of putting them into use, you become, I was rhyming the words very beautifully. So instead of putting them into use, you become loose, that is slack, and both the words are used in English. There is very little difference in the words. There is, however, a great difference in the result. Bapdada only saw the result of 3 or 4 days. He did not see the total result. What did he see in the result of everyone for the 3 or 4 days? 50%, that is half and half. The account of accumulation of both the powers of thought and speech for about 50% of souls was 40% accumulation and 60% waste and orderliness. So this was in 1990, no? I'm sure that's not what we would experience now, is it? So just think how much was accumulated, which was greater. Speech has an effect on the mind too. The mind pulls speech, that is words, towards itself. Today, Bab Dada is drawing your attention especially to speech, that is, to words, because words have a connection with oneself and also with others. What else did Baba see? Your mind has to stay in remembrance. Every now and then, you do have programs for this. What else did Baba see? Your mind has to stay in remembrance, right? Every now and then, you do have programs for this. However, there is a lot of carelessness in words. This is why Bab Dada is especially making you underline this. 2 years ago, Bab Dada especially told the Marathi souls who are moving forward in their effort and service, and everyone else, 3 things about speech. Speak less, speak softly, and speak sweetly. The sign of those who speak of wasteful things is that they speak a lot. They would control themselves by compulsion according to time and according to the gathering, but inside they would feel as though something has forced them to stay quiet. What is the greatest damage caused by wasteful words? Firstly, physical energy runs out because you spend it, and secondly, time is wasted. What habit would those who speak of wasteful things have? They would make a small thing into a very big thing, and their way of speaking would be as though they are telling a story. People relate the Ramayana or the Mahabharata with interest. They will speak with a lot of interest themselves, and they will create interest in others. But what is the result? What is the result of the Ramayana or the Mahabharata? Ram went into exile and a battle took place between the Kauravas and the Pandavas. They show this in the form of a story. There is no essence in it, but the music of it is very entertaining. This is called a story. Because of the influence of Maya, those who speak of wasteful things are weak souls. They are very quickly made into companions by others for listening and speaking too. Such souls cannot become those who love solitude. This is why they are very clever at making companions. Externally, it appears as though their gathering is very powerful and big, But always remember one thing. These are the last steps of Maya's departure. This is why, even as she is leaving, she continues to shoot her arrows. This is why sometimes and somewhere the influence of Maya does its work. She is not going to go away that easily, even until the last moment, if not in a direct form, then indirectly, and if not in a bitter way, she will adopt a very sweet new form and keep on trying with Brahmins. What do innocent Brahmins then say? Bapdada never said that Maya would come in this form too. Because of callousness, they do not even check themselves, and they think that Bapdada had said that Maya would come. So then remember half the words that Maya will come, but they forget that they have to become conquerors of Maya. So by saying, yes, Maya will come, means we're giving ourselves a little bit of permission that yes, Maya comes. But Maya comes, but what do we have to do? And that's the bigger thing, conquer it. Another thing is that Baba saw different forms of wasteful and ordinary words. One is that you indulge in jokes and laughter beyond the limits. He's not saying no, but not beyond the limits. Secondly, taunting, to taunt someone. Thirdly, to gather news from here and there and listen to it and speak of it. Fourthly, along with speaking of service news, you also speak of the weaknesses of the serviceable ones. That is mixed chutney. Fifthly, but chutney we all like, no? A little bit. So this is fifthly, words that are not yuked, words that are not in the Brahmin dictionary. Baba saw these 5 things. Bapdada counts all these 5 as wasteful words. Do not think that laughing and joking around is a good thing. Laughter and joking in which there is spirituality is good. However, you laughed and joked around with those souls benefited, and did those souls' time pass in a good way, or was their time wasted? The virtue of being entertaining is good, but it is not good when it is appropriate. So it is only good when it is appropriate to the person, the time, the gathering, the place, and the atmosphere. If even one thing is not right in any of those things, then that entertainment is counted in the line of wasteful. The certificate you would receive would be one that you make everyone laugh a lot, but you speak too much. So that is mixed chutney, is it not? So stay within the limits of time. This is what is known as Maryada Purushottam, following the highest code. If you say that your nature is like that, what kind of nature is it? Is it like that of Bap Dada? So that is not called Maryada Purushottam either. That is called being an ordinary being. Let your words always be such that those who hear them would want to hear more. You should say something, and like chatrak birds, they should hear it. Such words are called invaluable, elevated versions. Elevated versions are never many. If you continue to speak whatever you want, those are not called elevated versions. Therefore, children of the Sadguru are master Sadgurus, and so your words are not just words, but elevated versions. I think I remembered this Hindi word. It says Sach Vachan, and it's always, they say that those are the ones that comes from the Sadguru. Sat Vachan Maharaj, I think that's how they say it. So Baba is really reminding us that if we, the children of the Sadguru, that's the idea, that whatever word that comes about from us are the words that have to be true. The intellect of someone who speaks of wasteful things would never gather, the intellect of someone who speaks of wasteful things would definitely gather all the rubbish of wasteful things and wasteful news from everywhere, because he would have to tell them in the form of an entertaining story. For instance, look at the intellects of those who write the scriptures. This is why you must speak words that are necessary and yuk according to the time and place, those that bring benefit to yourself and other souls. To pay less attention to words, and this is why Bap Dada, to pay less attention to words, and this is why Bap Dada is doubly underlining this. So this year, pay special attention to your words. Check how much energy and time you have accumulated and how much you have wasted in words. When you check this, you will automatically experience the sweetness of introversion. There is a difference of day and night between the sweetness of introversion and that of words and activity. An introverted soul will experience himself to be an embodiment of tapasya sitting in the cottage of the forehead. Do you understand? Acha. So Baba is giving us a nice definition today. What does it mean to understand? One word. What does it mean to understand? Yes, yes, brother. To understand means to become. When someone understands something, he definitely puts it into practice and also understands it. So very often when we listen to Baba's Murli, Baba will speak a whole line and then Baba will say, Samjha, understand, which is really saying, okay, now you have to do it. So when someone understands something, he definitely puts it into practice and also understands it. Therefore, you teachers are sensible anyway. This is why you have received this fortune. At present, you sometimes experience the fortune of being an instrument as ordinary, but you also experience this fortune to be very elevated according to the time. The awareness of who made you an instrument and who selected you as a worthy soul will automatically make you elevated. I think in last week's Murli, which was, I hope I'm not mixing it up, but when Baba said that when the soul is soul of Brahma, especially Baba will say that if he made a mistake, Baba would be responsible. And I like this consciousness because Sister Jayanti was bringing this up yesterday, that this consciousness of a trustee, because you're working on behalf of, then that means that the trust itself, if anything goes wrong with it, it doesn't become your responsibility. And so we do it for Baba, but actually it's not like the burden is on our head. Baba is still the one responsible. So I think that that title is a nice title for each one of us. And Baba uses the word trustee for those living in the household always. He said, because you have to take care of your children, your family, but you're doing it as a trustee. So Baba then also becomes responsible to look after your children. Again, I'm not remembering very clearly which day it was, but when Baba said that those who take on the responsibility of service, Baba will even look after their children and that was for me like such an amazing guarantee, because we always think karma is onefold. I do it and I get the return. But if you have a responsibility and you entrust yourself in doing Baba's work, Baba's responsibility to give you the return to look after even your responsibilities. And I thought that was just really something, because he says this in relationship to our body. He says that I will make sure that you will never be without food. Even till the end, you will get that dal and roti. So just to see how in a subtle way, we're creating this amazing bond with God. And it can only happen now in this confluence age, because the guarantee then lasts for the whole cycle. It's not even a guarantee for one birth, but for the whole cycle, this guarantee exists. So the awareness of who made you an instrument and who selected you as a worthy soul will automatically make you elevated. So just really keeping that awareness of Baba. If you remain aware of the one who is making you that, you will very easily become a constant yogi. Constantly sing songs in your heart of praise of the Father who made you become like that, and you will become constant yogis. This is not a small thing. Out of the selected few of the multi-million souls of the entire world, how many of you have become instrument teachers? How many teachers are there in the Brahmin family? So you are the selected ones out of the few. To be a teacher means constantly, what does it mean? To sing songs of God, Bhagavan, and your fortune, Bhagya. Bapdada is proud of you teachers, but he is proud of the teachers who are Ras Yukt, those who are aware of the significance of everything. Acha. Those of you in the household also stay in pleasure, do you not? Are you those who get confused or the ones who stay in pleasure? In Brahman life, there is pleasure of the mind, body, wealth, and people at every second. Nice list. Baba says, you sleep comfortably, you eat comfortably, you live, eat, sleep, and study comfortably. What else do you need? Do you like studying or do you like sleep at Amrit Vela? Some children say, we were awake all night and so we fell asleep in the morning. Or if they are doing a particular type of service, they forget about Amrit Vela. So what was accumulated at that time? Nothing extra was accumulated. On the one hand, you did service, and on the other hand, you missed Amrit Vela. So then what happened? However, you must not simply as a discipline and become drowsy. So however, you must not sit simply as a discipline and become drowsy. That television is very good. Those yogis sit in different yoga positions. They would sit like this, that, or the other. This happens here too. I'm not sure if Baba was actually creating those poses, but you think that because this is easy yoga, that you can allow yourself to sit comfortably. Babdada also listens to the tunes of some. Baba has that cassette too. So he has one good television, he can see us. Then he has a cassette player, he can listen to all our things. So he says, so what would now doubly underline this? Sorry. So Baba would now doubly underline this, would he not? Then Babdada will tell you what the difference is in the result. Acha. To all the intense effort-making souls everywhere who have an elevated aim and who imbibe its qualifications, to the elevated souls who follow the most elevated code of conduct and constantly speak words according to the time and discipline, to the knowledgeful souls who are constantly Mahavirs and know all forms of Maya, to the carefree emperors who stay in pleasure at every second, Babdada's love, remembrances, and namaste. So when you listen to something like this, you could feel it's like a little bit of a martial law that Baba has just decreed, a very powerful order. But together with that, also what comes across is that Baba is only speaking to those he knows that have this power. So when anything comes our way that is pretty strong even, it's because it's time for us to digest it. And so Baba, being Trikaldarshi, knows exactly what the souls are ready for. Now Baba is speaking to groups, and now Baba is saying, do you know very well the power of silence? You can see the connection, no? We spoke the main Murli about thoughts and words, and now Baba is speaking about silence. And we know that even in our thoughts, that even though I don't speak anything, that there can be noise with our thoughts as well. So let's see how Baba is now bringing about the power of silence. The power of silence can take you to your sweet home, the land of peace, in a second. So when we hear the word Shanti, we hear the word peace, but in Hindi, the word Shanti also means silence. So scientists are trying to invent even faster instruments. However, your instruments are so fast that as soon as you think of going, you reach there. Does science have such instruments that you can go somewhere so far without spending anything? They spend so much on inventing each and every invention. They use so much time and energy. However, what did you do? You received everything without incurring any expense. This power of thought is the fastest of all. You have received the instrument of pure thoughts and a divine intellect. You go there with a pure mind and a divine intellect. You can return whenever you want. You can go there whenever you want. Scientists have to consider the weather. You don't even have to consider this. For example, that today it is cloudy, so you won't be able to travel. Nowadays, let alone clouds, if it is even a little foggy, aeroplanes cannot take off. Is your plane ever ready? Or is it sometimes a little foggy? Is it ever ready? Do you have such an intense speed that you can take off in a second? Maya doesn't sometimes create obstructions, does she? No one can stop a master almighty authority. Who can stop you when you have all powers? If you check a particular power, it is possible for you to be deceived at the time of need. For instance, you have the power to tolerate, but if you are weak in the power to decide, then when any such situations arise in which you have to make a decision, you would experience loss at that time. You only have one moment to decide yes or no, but its consequences are so great. So check that you have all powers. Do not think, it is fine, I am moving along and having yoga anyway. However, do you have all attainments that you should have by having yoga? So nicely connected to the idea that, do I experience contentment in whatever I'm doing? Or have you become happy with just a little now that the Father belongs to you? The Father belongs to you, but does the property, the inheritance also belong to you? It's a nice thing to churn about. What does it mean that the inheritance belongs to me? Okay, or is it okay that you have just found the Father? You want to become a master of the inheritance, do you not? The Father's property is all the powers. This is why the Father's praise is, the Almighty Authority, the one with all powers? Have you accumulated a stock of all powers? Or do you just have enough? You earn and you spend. That is all. Babdada has told you that as you make progress, all will become a beggar to you, Master Almighty Authorities. Not begging for money or food, but begging for powers. So you would only be able to give when you have accumulated a stock, would you not? Only those who have more than they need for themselves are able to donate. If you only have sufficient for yourself, what would you donate? Therefore, accumulate that much. What else is there to do at the confluence age? The question, right? What else is there to do at the confluence age? You have been given the task of accumulating. There isn't any other age throughout the whole cycle for you to accumulate. At that time, you will be spending, you won't be able to accumulate. So if you do not accumulate at the time that you have to accumulate, in the end, what would have to be said? If not now, then never. And the board of too late will be put up. Now the board of late is up, but not of too late. But I don't guarantee that that's the same case now, because it's 1990 that Baba spoke. So you think in 2020, is it the same thing? That Baba says now the board of late is up, but not of too late. You know, yesterday Sister Jayanti met a small group, and we asked her just to give her some closing remarks. And out of all things, instead of saying this and that and the other, she just said one thing. She said, now is the time to make sure that everybody recognizes Shiv Baba. She didn't even say God. She used this word Shiv Baba as their mother and father at the time of need. And it's like when we see this whole drama, the way it's culminating, there's so much happening. People are drawn into so much, and then you realize, no, it's not that, it's something else. Like nobody you can depend on. People who are making big statements then have to withdraw them because there's so much of uncertainty. So can you imagine, even in the people who are making decisions, how much of stress they must go through because of instability? So when she said this, I just thought, it's true. Because today, as Baba is saying, that when we know the Father and the inheritance, that attainment of the inheritance instantly brings to the soul that sense of peace and love, that feeling of strength and happiness. So those are the things, the qualities that actually allows us to be sustained. And so when each soul reunites with God, with Shiv Baba in that way, and the beauty about Shiv Baba, when you say Shiv Baba, Shiva is the seed, the benefactor, and light. And in that whole word, there is everything that the soul requires. So I really love it. That feeling is that how we can actually, and it's not so much that we need to blow bugles or whatever it is, but when that stability is inside of us, others will think, hey, what have you got? How is it that you can remain? So that's why each one of us can do this work very naturally by the attention we pay for making Baba so part of our own lives. So now Baba continues, have all of you mothers accumulated this much? Are you Shiv Shaktis or mothers at home? Are you Shiv Shaktis or you mothers? Baba says, when you say Shiv Shakti, you remember the powers. You are mothers who the Father has made into Shiv Shaktis. If someone comes and sees your faces, what would he or she say? Can there be such Shakti? However, the Father has recognized that you are powerful souls. The Father sees the soul. He doesn't see whether someone is old, young, or a child. Soul is not old or young. So it is a matter of happiness that Baba has made you into Shiv Shaktis. There are so many educated women in the world, but the Father loves those from the villages. Why does He love them? The Lord is pleased with an honest heart. The Father loves an honest heart. Those who are innocent do not know how to lie or deceive anyone. Those who are clever and sly have those traits. Those whose heart is innocent, that is, those who are beyond the cleverness of worldly Maya, are deeply loved by the Father. The Father sees honest hearts. He does not look at your study, your faces, your village, your money. Honest hearts are needed, and this is why the Father's name is Dilwala, the conqueror of hearts. Acha. Baba is really the one who is all loving. The other day, Baba said that Baba teaches you with his life. And I thought, wow, from his heart with his life. And that's like very powerful in a sense that everything that God is, he's available for us at this time. And these are like kind of things that we hear every day, but to understand Baba's commitment for us, I feel that's really something really beautiful. Because if you know that there is this energy, like, when we want to move forward and we know somebody's got our back, it gives us courage, isn't it? Baba is supporting us with his whole life force. I mean, can we imagine that any human being can be there, whatever, but if they die tomorrow, as much as they had our back covered, they can't do anything. But this energy of Baba is there, any place, any time, any moment, it's absolutely there. So this time of the conference age is to forge that relationship with this eternal one. And then for the whole cycle, the karma is actually guaranteed. Blessing. May you be master knowledgeful and fix your fortune for the first division by having determined faith. May you be master knowledgeful and fix your fortune of the first division by having determined faith. Determined faith fixes your fortune. Just as Father Brahma is fixed as the first number, in the same way, have the determined faith that you will definitely come in the first division. Every child has the golden chance in the drama. Simply pay attention to this practice and you can claim a number ahead. For this, a master knowledgeful in every act you perform. So for this, be master knowledgeful in every act you perform. increase your experience of his company, and everything will become easy. Maya is a paper tiger in front of those who have the company of the Almighty Authority Father. Maya is a paper tiger in front of those who have the company of the Almighty Authority Father. And then the slogan, consider yourself to be a hero actor and continue to play your hero part in the unlimited drama. Om Shanti. So Baba just keeps, I don't know how to say it, but he keeps creating these amazing commitments and guarantees for us. It's almost like in case sometimes there's a little bit side scenes and attraction, Baba is just making sure he's reinforcing what actually it is that he has available for us. So let's just have a few moments of silence as we just absorb. I feel like this whole Murli was like a blessing as we absorb the blessings from Baba, and then we can share a little bit. Shanti. So a few thoughts that were in my mind as I was just reflecting the gifts that Baba has given us. Firstly, just to think about it, that in the confluence age, there's a couple of things that we find that we can't really separate ourselves, which is we have to live in the world and do all the things that we have to do. And the two things that we use to be in the world is our thinking and our speaking, is our interacting. And so in a way, Baba made this Murli a very practical one, because, you know, like for those who become elevated souls, they leave the world, they go into the mountain, and they take on a life of being exclusive. And in a way, what Baba did is that he brought this elevated life down here for us. And all he did is said to us, the things that you do, which is you think and you speak, just put attention to it. So in a way, this is like the greatest, in a way, the gift of this Raj Yoga that Baba is teaching us. It is for everyone, for anyone, anywhere. You don't actually have to have a certain condition so that you can fulfill this responsibility. But the method is then step by step explained to us. So Baba, in a very powerful way, defined our thoughts being wasted. And for the thoughts to be saved, Baba said, look at those thoughts to see them, that they actually bring benefit. They are elevated thoughts. They are the thoughts that allows me to experience my own presence. You know, he said, you know, to be seated in this forehead and to know that we have that awareness is really so important, which means that at no point do I lose myself. So just to remain aware that this is where I, the soul, am seated, and through that awareness, I'm thinking from this position, means I never lose myself. And I like how Baba says we don't experience confusion. And then when Baba spoke about words as well, he said, let those words be light, let there be that happiness, but it shouldn't take away from someone their sense of self-respect or good. So when he was using the word taunting, when we look at the jokes in the world, it's always at somebody's expense, isn't it? And so what Baba was saying is that our lightness should be done in such a way that it elevates someone. It should be something that allows that person to feel relieved of their burden rather than really feeling a little bit out of place. And so both of those thoughts and words, when it's coming from a position that I understand who I am. So I liked it when Baba said, you have the father, but you have the inheritance. So when we know where we come from and who we belong to and what we have, our position is not to take from anyone. Wasteful thoughts are also born from the fact that I feel I need something. So if in my mind I'm getting a little irritated with someone, it's because they didn't fulfill something. I'm feeling a bit envious of somebody because they have something I don't have. And all of those positions are coming from the fact that I don't know my own value and my own attainment. In the same way with words, our words can become where we bring somebody down is because we're not feeling good inside of ourselves. And so all the things that we do to anyone out there is a reflection on how I'm feeling. And so the antidote for that is Baba giving us again a reminder of who we belong to, that we have him as our father, but we also have his inheritance. And so I think the thing about the inheritance is to ask ourselves, how is this inheritance already part of my life? And it's something nice to think about. Am I still going to claim the inheritance or do I have the inheritance? What do you think? Are we going to claim the inheritance for 21 births? And even if we make that statement that I'm going to claim the inheritance for 21 births, when's the first birth? Now. So that means the inheritance already has to be part of my awareness. It is not something I'm going to get in the future and we're waiting for destruction to happen and then it's going to come. For us, for each one of us, the destruction where the vice doesn't have power over me and it's now dismantled in my consciousness, it doesn't have life anymore. That destruction has already happened. And what I'm now experiencing is myself free from the hold of anything outside of me. And I think that's something also very beautiful. He kept talking about that don't let anything from the outside come and mix up what you have on the inside. You know, so often they show that the saint is sitting in the cave of the forehead, and the cave is always something that's made of rock and nothing can penetrate it. So do I feel my own presence that wherever I am, that actually nothing from the outside can penetrate and shift my positioning, that I remain so stable? So those are nice checking points today, but the takeaway really is that I'm the father's child and I really got the inheritance. And everything that comes with the inheritance is guaranteed. So that the soul is really not seeking anymore. I feel that's a nice thing to check for ourselves. Do I still feel I'm seeking? Am I still on the journey to discover and reinvent? Or I know the path and I'm just refining it. You know, we're not really still finding out where the goal is. We know it's there. We just have to keep shoveling and go deep in it. We're not changing directions. So we've come to the mind already, and we're just busy doing the work to make sure whatever's in the way between me and my real is being dug away and it's getting finished. And so it's a nice thing for us to stay absolutely in the awareness. So even the blessing tied it up very beautifully. Baba says, so if we remain in that awareness to be the master knowledgeful one in every situation. So if I know who I am, then in every situation, my thinking and speaking can be in line with that. So then I'm not wasting anything. Everything is becoming an accumulation. And I think we can invite Brother Charles now to do a little bit of Murli revision. And if there's any thoughts from those in the Zoom, you can share your thoughts. Perhaps you can put it in the chat. And if you do want to share, you can also unmute. Om Shanti. It's okay.
That's fine. Om Shanti, good morning. So I was just thinking about, in terms of the principles on which bhakti work, and to what extent our consciousness now, in spite of stepping away from bhakti, has influenced us in terms of coming down. We think of, for example, the soul is immune to the effect of action. And this is a statement on the path of devotion. And that kind of consciousness now means that you can do whatever you want to do and nothing affects you. And the second one is the elongation of the duration of the cycle, means that you have plenty of time. And there isn't that focus in terms of making that spiritual endeavor. And the third thing is about the omnipresence of God. And because we used to think that God is omnipresent, then the focus isn't there, the focus on one. And so the focus becomes diluted in terms of our deep focus. But now on the path of knowledge, there is a deep focus on God. So you can see how those influences of the path of devotion can impact even now in our lives in terms of what we've carried with us. So today's Murli Baba spoke on a very beautiful aspect of the powers, the power of thought, the power of words. And then he further went onto the power of silence. And I found that within all of these aspects, Baba started off with building our self-respect, saying you are the loveliest children, you are close, you are elevated, you are the direct children of God. And so from this self-respect that Baba speaks about, he gently moves on to giving us directions. And what I found interesting in terms of this year was the aspect of, for example, the power of thought. What is Baba actually telling us? What Baba wishes for us? He wishes for us that we have a divine intellect, we have pure thoughts, and within that there was like one principle that I saw that within that movement. It says the power of thought. If you're using it for yourself and you're using it for others, then, and you're using it on a third level in an appropriate way, then that is to use the power of thought. Then the second principle was on the aspect of the mind as a connection with words. So to what extent the mind is influenced by the kind of words you speak, by the words you create within your own mind, and how there is a cross-pollination between what you create and what you say. But if the mind is coming from a space of being knowledgeful, then there's the greater impact that you could have, and your words would resonate on the same level as Baba. And I think a practical example of that is if you take the Dadis and you take Bab Dada. And Baba had spoken about the 5 levels of those wasteful thoughts, that there's joking, there's taunting, there's speaking about the weaknesses of others, etc., etc. So within that, what was the principle behind that? Is that, am I looking at myself, or I'm looking at others? And is it coming from a space of self-respect, or it's coming from ordinariness? And what did Baba say at the end of that? At the end of that paragraph, he said, instead of speaking about these kinds of of words, then speak elevated versions. And I thought that was very beautiful because from the Dadis and from Bap Dada, everything that is spoken is like you can't take any word away from that paragraph. Everything is essential and it's beautiful. So to what extent are we able to see the principles on which those operate and be in alignment with that? And then we look at the kind of words we speak and the kind of slogan we need to have for ourselves. What is the slogan we need to have in terms of the words we speak? Speak less, speak sweetly, speak softly. So when it comes to, for example, and Baba spoke again about somebody speaking, they gather everyone around them and they tell entertaining stories. And the principle behind that was, are you moving towards extroversion or are you moving towards solitude? So the principle of solitude versus extroversion. And so Baba had said many things, and it's very difficult to remember line for line what he had said. But it's important to work on what are the principles. So the principle of solitude means you step into solitude and you enjoy that solitude. And when you do come into sound, then the kind of words that are molded and sculpted because of the high degree of solitude means that the words become elevated versions. It doesn't become just ordinary words. It's words that are well thought out, well understood, well fashioned, and not in a very overt way and not in a very clever way, but it's as though there's a natural resonance between the way you think and the way you speak, because it's coming from a natural practice of knowing the damage words can cause, knowing the damage it can cause for yourself and for others. So those were important principles. When Baba spoke to the mothers, he spoke about you are the Shiva Shaktis. And again, he is bringing this aspect of Baba loves you. There are many important, famous women in the world that are professors and lawyers, and they take the stage of the world. But Baba loves the souls from the villages. And what aspect was he pointing out to? What was the underlying principle with regard to that? The love that they have and the honesty that they and when it came to the aspect of power, I've seen in a few Murlis that, we've often asked about what brings this power. And it's this honesty, this obedience, this allegiance, this being congruent to the quality of truth. So you become honest and you continue with your daily activities in an honest way, and you give that out to the world, and the world sends blessings to you, and Baba sends blessings to you. And you use those blessings for yourself and for others. And then that goes out into the world, and what emerges from that is a sense of willpower. And then Baba in today's blessing spoke about making Maya into a paper tiger, and what principle is operating from that. The principle of the drama, the game, of us understanding. And something we had spoken about over a few weeks was the aspect of, at every moment, it's as though I'm bringing the full body of knowledge to that particular moment, and I wish to operate from that. And Baba spoke about a few principles with regard to this blessing. One was the principle of determined faith. And usually when souls speak, they say, let's be soul conscious. And that's their starting point. But now we are moving back a few steps and saying that our starting point is not soul consciousness, but it's a few realizations before that. For example, to recognize Baba. And the recognition brings forth that faith. And Baba is saying, you know, it's determined faith. Remember both words, not just one. Not remember something in half measures, but remember it in its entirety. Then Baba said in the second principle, be knowledgeful, master knowledgeful at every moment. And so what a powerful principle to use, that if I'm interacting in the world and I bring a principle of being master knowledgeful to that, the outcomes would probably be in a good way. So Susha, you want to add something? So the third one was a very beautiful one, is increase your capacity and your experience of the companionship with one. And I thought those few principles, how beautifully they worked together, gave us some kind of plan of action. And sometimes the souls want to say, you know, knowledge is very deep and very powerful. Can you just give me one line that I can use for my whole life? That's what I want. I don't want so much of knowledge. I just want one line, but it's not possible to just give one line because one line is connected to many other lines. And when Baba had spoken to the double foreigners, the principle of the power of silence came about, and going into introversion, into solitude, into the love of solitude. And Baba again clarified that it's not a forced silence. When somebody goes into silence, but it's as though they're feeling uncomfortable in that silence. But it's a silence that is easy and natural because it's very much part of you. Om Shanti. Anyone like to? Or do you check? Anyone would like to share any points?
Shanti, Brother Charles.
Shanti.
I really like today's Murli. It resonated with me very nicely because I've always been a very quiet person. I like listening, and I can see the benefit of being in silence. And so it's true, you know, sometimes if you get into wasteful, entertaining conversations, if it's not bringing benefit to those around them, it's a matter of taking and not actually accumulating. And so at every point that I interact with someone, if there is not an imparting of something pure and good, then yes, it becomes a wasteful conversation. So this Murli, I really, really enjoyed it. So thank you for sharing. Bye. Om Shanti.
Did you hear that? Thank you, Abhinav. It was lovely sharing.
Sister Lebo, you can speak, Sister Lebo.
Okay, I'm Shanti.
Shanti.
Yes, the Murli is highly practical in terms of like us knowing, giving us guidance on what to do on a daily basis. As we were reading the Murli, I almost like looked at myself on the world stage, my performance, and I realized how easy it is to step into the world and be an entertainer, being pulled by what is being discussed at the time, and you become the part of discussions. And, you know, it's so easily we get so easily influenced by such behaviors. And now the Murli is actually showing that we don't have to be entertainers. We just need to step into, our inner being and stay in and use knowledge at all times. So I liked how you unpacked the Murli as well. It is clearly giving us guidance on how to behave at all times as Brahmins. Thank you.
Thank you, Lebo. Anyone else would like to share?
Anyone here also want to share?
So we know we'll end with a song, if there's no one else.
Sure. Usha.
I see the smallest things, I feel the rawest things.
Shanti.
Usha.